Hello, hello. It's Blue coming to you live from the Arc de Triomphe because we are talking to the very first Altered TCG world champion, fresh off his victory in Paris, France. Of course, one of my very first repeat interviews, it's Rinku. The American WC qualifier winner was able to face the toughest competition Altered has ever seen in an individual tournament to become its first undisputed best player in the world. We go over the ups and downs of each tournament round, the last minute decision of decks that could have led to a hostage situation, the mystery of the missing Teija playmat, shout out to ExAlts Aran, and also something called the Rinku Challenge that you may be able to participate in soon. But now it's time for us to jump into the final special WCQ edition of Top Cut Talk. Go for it, Blue. All right. Once again, everyone, it's time for the interview. For those of you out there who still don't know the individual next to me for some reason, especially if you are already subscribed to this channel, hint, hint, please greet the first time individual repeat guest, actually. Go ahead and introduce yourself and say what you might be known for within Alter.
Yeah, hi. So my name is Rinku, or itsRinku, or Jonathan. That works too. But we'll go for Rinku for this episode, or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I'm known for being maybe one of the top five Kojo players in the world, and I think that's probably just my claim to fame.
Yeah.
I also happened to win the World Championship in Paris a few weekends ago. At this point,
Spoilers.
yeah.
What can you do? Yep. Speaking of the World Championship and your respective run to win the entirety of the event, occupying a full weekend in the Friday in October, we can get into the questions. The first being more so associated with the event preparation, I think, for the World's event. Can you speak to that and what it looked like for you preparing as an individual for that top 32 bracket, conquest, and just anything you want to speak to?
Yeah, so even though I said on this podcast very famously, and I've already heard Blue say it elsewhere, that I would play Kojo Sigismund Trace as my three decks, there was
Conquest with the ban promotes you trying to build three of the same deck. So I'll just say this publicly, and you can record me, hopefully as world champion. But
Censor this entire thing. Anyway, continue.
yeah, so like if they keep it as is, I'm literally gonna play Kojo, Sigismar, and Traced. I'm just gonna play three aggressive heroes, and then sure they can ban one. I don't care. I just have the same strategy three times. I'll ban your thing that is good against aggressive decks. And I'll just try to beat the other two. So
There was definitely a lot of indecision along the way. I remember even in some online qualifiers after I qualified, like the WCQs on BGA, I was still thinking that it could be possible that Basir is better than Kojo, even before Skybound Odyssey came out. And Skybound Odyssey did not really help Kojo and definitely helped Basira. But it kind of made Basira like spread off a little bit differently. Like whereas before Basira could just like play kind of like Kojo in terms of a curve, but then like because of Suha and Kuku, you kind of wanted to play like 3 into 1-3, which is like very different than playing like 1-2 into 2-2, which is more of a Kojo style curve. So minimally they're like differentiated, but then like it seemed like the cards were just like pretty powerful. So I had small indecision there. Um, Frankly, never really played Trace that much. I just thought it was the most aggressive deck, which is why I said that on that episode that I was on. Um, and I felt like I just always lost to it, but I never really played with it. And then Sigismar was actually the only deck I was locked in, like 100% to play. I felt like, ironically, looking at the deck list, like I thought just like every single French team would like have a Sigismar player, but that wasn't true. And maybe it was from like attacking Conquest differently. Like maybe if it was like, oh, you're gonna play in 3 tournaments with 3 different decks, maybe we've seen more Sigismar as opposed to Conquest style, where like you're thinking about banning stuff and whatnot. But yeah, I just like knew I was gonna play Sigismar because even if I'm not the best Sigismar player, it just felt very clearly to be one of the top 2 decks in the format. So the way I prepped Sigismar is a little bit untraditional. I actually just played a bunch of NUC or no unique tournaments. And if you look at my list from that, it's actually not that different than my list from Worlds. It was mostly like in the no unique events, I would play Gift of Selves, but then gaining the rare spot kind of back. I just played uniques that drew cards, so then I don't have to play Gift of Self. And then there's like some shuffling around with like Origanium or whatever it's called, like
Yeah.
it's just like, okay, if I think in this conquest format, I thought the default was to bring a Bravos deck, Sigismar Trace, and then I don't want to play a card that's just like kind of dead against Trace if they're going to Grems you. But in the NUC where you don't know if you're like Trace isn't as good because you don't have the uniques that are like a Nuncy style. Those were the small changes, but really I just won like 2 or 3 NUC events with with Sigismar. That was very heavy ascend, and I actually saw that like none of like the metagame was really net decking me for some reason, and even like some teammates like Runefolk ended up just like copying my lists and just being like, yes, like you just ascend every turn. And do you know what's better? Like what I've been saying is, do you know what's better than drawing a card? Advancing one. Like and yeah, that ended up playing pretty well in the tournament. But yeah, so Sigismar was the only thing that was locked in. I knew I was going to be a heavy ascend. So yeah, leading up to it, you would think being a part of a big team would help, and it did help in a lot of ways. I was very heavily like influenced to possibly play a hostage deck, thanks to Keelan Guy
I
and
was gonna ask that if you were or not. That would have been
yeah,
interesting.
I was very adamant that I wasn't going to do it about 2 weeks before Worlds, and then as my indecision grew, like that's kind of the problem when you like work in general with people that can be very like strong-willed or like have a lot of confidence in their deck. It's very easy to convince yourself to play their deck, or for them to convince you to play their deck. So I like made sure I talked to them when I was just like very adamant that I was gonna like Kojo Sigismar Trace. And then like as I became less decisive, I was like, I think I might have to hostage people. And I was like, I would rather like win the tournament than play decks that I liked, which isn't always how I've operated in card games. But part of it was like once again, like me kind of feeling like Conquest with a ban wasn't even like the format that I thought would be optimal for this and stuff like that. So yeah, like it was interesting, but so that was one. Another deck was Idyllic, one of the AQZ members known for playing Teija Festival. We actually like iterated a few times. Freeloader and I like had some ideas of like what if instead you like heavily tone down the festival and you use your uniques that can sleep 1 or 2 things to just be an aggro deck, but you play one festival. That way, if it's like open deck list, you can backdoor into it when you just draw it. But like for the most part, you're focused on like shoving and just like triple sleep to win the game or something like that. And he started like performing pretty well, and I played a few, just online tournaments with it, and it went pretty well as well. So that was a contender as well. And then I guess like Trace, like there was a chance that I could play Desiri over Trace, mostly because I forgot the username, but someone won a Road to Valhalla event literally like 3 days before Worlds with Isari that looked just like Trace, except it didn't play Frankenstein. It was some
Mhm.
from KNP. Um, so I like had slightly better, like in my own personal collection, I had better uniques for Isari than I did for Trace. So I thought that that might have been a concession or something that I could have done. Um,
KNP
so
Toastmaster.
yes, Toastmaster. I should have remembered that. But yeah. So like that almost got me there. So, but yeah, it was kind of hard. A lot of my team was still focused on, if they won an LCQ, what would be their 3 deck lineup? I'm like, okay, well, how about you help me with my third deck? Like, I want to play Sigismar, a Bravos, one of these two. Like, I'm not gonna play Soul because A, we don't have the uniques for it. B, I just like the gameplay pattern isn't something I'm used to yet.
Mhm.
Um, so a Bravos, Sigismar, and then X. So then to kind of get everyone on the same page as me, instead of like, oh yeah, like you should play my deck. I'm like, yeah, like, but then I have to ban this deck and all this stuff. I ran what is called what I called the Rinku challenge, which honestly went really well, and I might just do it for fun later. I told them that it will be open deck list. They can bring any deck that is not from Ordis or Bravos, and then they only get one challenge every day, and they have to 2-0 both my Kojo and my Sigismar. And that was just the challenge. So the first day I went like, I don't know, 6-1 or something. I'm just like, okay, like I still think this is gonna be one of the best lineups. Like it's not the only lineup, but like if you can't beat this, like I don't think I can play those decks. Then Fernico played Traced against me and just like very soundly 4-0'd me. Like I didn't even feel like I was close in a lot of the games. It's like, okay, Trace is like a top contender. Then I like still ran the challenge with you can do the same thing, but you can't play Traced, and then no one won. So I was like, okay, Trace is like still probably going to be my third deck. Just
This
for
was this was post bug fix Trace, I'm guessing then,
yeah,
yeah? Yeah.
yeah. So it's after the ban or adjustment, whatever
Yeah.
you want to call
Whatever, yeah, yeah.
it. Right. So then, just in case there's a future Rinku challenge that's more, global or something, what the prize was I would sign a Kojo, a Buddha. He ended up not accepting the Buddha, but and any card of your choice with like Rinku Challenge winner, and that's it. So he had me sign a Teija that he's used a lot, and I gave him a Kojo. So it was
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, now as a world champion, you could probably charge people for that too and just be like Rinku challenge.
Yeah, both Cole and Simon said that their Rinku stocks have gone through the roof, and they're trying to possibly offload some. So we'll see. But who knows? I mean, everyone loves a two-peat, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But so then I get there on Wednesday. So keep in mind that deck submission is like Friday midnight into Saturday. 1 a.m. ended up being 3 a.m. just because of how the LCQ worked, just scheduling
Mhm.
things, considerations. So I got there Wednesday, kind of just tour and like don't really do much on Wednesday. Saw the Eiffel Tower, that was cool. Not to make you feel bad, but
I
it's
can look at
big.
pictures. Yeah.
It's yeah. I don't remember the exact dimensions, but I don't know if you've been to the one in Las Vegas. Seen that Eiffel
Yeah.
Tower. Okay, I think it's twice as tall as it, or like a little bit like off of
Okay.
that, but about twice. Um, yeah, which might be different than say like the pyramids that you see in Las Vegas versus the actual pyramid. Um, but yeah, so
One of my favorite architects to the Eiffel Tower, Gustav Eiffel.
so then on Thursday, Roomful came in before the other AQZ members, and he got stopped by the hotel, and we tested a bit. And I was just like, okay, like my original plan is to ban Trace because clearly Trace beats my other two decks, and I'm sure I'd be serviceable in a mirror. Spoiler: I end up being terrible in the mirror. Um, so so then I'm just like, okay, well, if I have to ban Trace, um, well, yeah, to like avoid the mirror too, yeah. But then I have to let Basira through if someone has Basira Trace Axe, which ends up being a pretty popular lineup in this as well. I
Mhm.
was actually surprised on the spread of Bravos decks in general. Like, there's way more Tsadi than I thought there would be. Because I feel like Marbles and I talked about a bit because he has pretty solid Tsadi cards
Right.
and had played it before, and he's just like, I think I could just get steamrolled. Like I think it's a deck people could just prey on, and I'm like, yeah, I feel that way too. So that was kind of interesting. But anyhow, so I played Trace against Basira. And Roomfolk, I think like 6-0'd me or something. Like it, and it was just like so resounding. Like I actually felt like there's nothing I could have done and that I had no agency and that was like really, really bad. To the point that I was just like, okay, Rune, like, do you have hostage on you? Can I just like see what's like the hostage, Basira, and Trace? And I went like 5-1 or 6-1. I was just like, all right, like guess this is just what I have to do. So then yeah, I actually go sleep that night, and I send a message to AQZ that says, if I have to lock in decks literally right now, it would be Visira Sigismar hostage. So thank goodness that there's another day. Um, so the next day, I go to the site, and the LCQs, some of them were easier to watch than others, depending on who was judging. Some people were very strict, like you cannot see anyone's hands because they just didn't want like facial tells or anything like that, like very much like tournament integrity to make sure that would be fine. Some judges were a little bit more lax in terms of just like understand the situation and like where people were and stuff like that. So it was admittedly a little bit hard. My original plan was to watch all the LCQs and just decide off of that.
Yeah.
I would say like the first impactful moment was seeing Pava. At the time, I just saw Pava like top 8 their pod, like beating Argon, or maybe that would be for top 4. But
Mhm.
and I was just like, okay, like Pava's doing with Kojo, like they're one of the best Kojo players in the world. Like I still consider myself very up there. I am okay doing it my way. Like, in the realm of doing things my way, it feels weird to not bring Kojo when it's just the method of the game I enjoy the most. Like the gameplay with Kojo just it really speaks to me.
Right.
I'm like, great, I'm playing Kojo. I'll pull aside freeloader later and we'll just talk for an hour and I'll just trust whatever we come to. So then I just like curb that. Sigismar's been locked in already. I changed like 1 or 2 cards in the deck. I like added a Moth Collision just in case for whatever reason I couldn't ban Basira.
Yeah.
So that list was already locked in. And then I'm still trying to figure out my third deck. So then both Keelan Guy and Rune both lost first round with Hostage in their LCQs. they, they played like Akesha, but not Hostage, and they played Trace. And like Keelan Guy like claims that he lost to Trace because his Katagear was literally the bomb card of his deck. But like, I don't know. It's still like 2 out of 3. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't want to worry about timeout, but sure, like the timeout rules were different in Conquest and stuff like that. And then I ended up like getting lunch with like Simon and Keelan Guy, and we're just like talking about my decks. I'm like, yeah, I think I just like kind of have to hostage. Like this Trace stuff didn't really work. And Simon's like, You don't like have to do anything. And I'm like, yeah, but like I really do want to win. Like I think winning would just be really cool. Um and he's like, but you don't have to hostage. And I'm like, yeah. So then we like go back in and I'm like watching some of the top eights play out. Seeing Pava win was just like, okay, great. Like, yeah, like we're in there. So I'm like with Freeloader, Keelan Guy. So first I was with Keelan Guy actually, before Freeloader showed up from coverage. So LCQs are happening. It's like 7 p.m. Friday. Um, and what ends up happening is so I'm like, all right, Keelan guy, I am bringing Kojo and Sigismar. So like you're saying that like I have to ban Sigismar, but like what if someone has like Lear and Hydra, like Bathira? Like you literally can't beat that. And then I like just came up with another deck. I'm like, so you're saying in these decks, like Festival is also very difficult to beat with Hostage. Like with Shiva, you might be able to do it, but it's like still pretty hard.
Yeah.
Specifically Muna. The Lyra one, like Rune said, he had a convoluted plan against it and stuff. Um, Also, the night before, I like couldn't sleep, and I like it dawned upon me how you beat, um, how you win if you mana both of your like small step giant leaps, and I'm like, okay, I'm thinking about this deck too much, and it also takes like 20,000 turns to do. But it is cool. It involves a lot of beauty sleeping, which is funny. But
Yeah.
so so then I'm like, Keelan guy, like, I like, is there a way you could just build hostage to beat like Sigismar? And he's like, well, you could play like 3 East and then you like do this other thing. And then like at some point he just looks at me, he's just like, yeah, no, you're if we're getting to the point that we're trying to beat Sigismar and not ban Sigismar, I'm pulling the plug, go play Trace, and he just laughed.
And
Um
that's how it was decided.
yeah, so like for everyone that like thinks I was like super like confident going into the event, like it really wasn't. Like I was not kidding that Thursday night. That's how I felt.
And then you did already speak to a little bit as far as like the Friday LCQ. Obviously, you didn't have to play during that time, and you were kind of limited to what you could see as far as cards and everything along that line. Was there anything that you did that day on Friday other than just plan your decks as much as possible? Maybe
Yeah,
enjoy the event a little bit and meet everyone.
honestly, I think one of my highlights, which I don't want to say sounds weird, but it was my first time spending like an extended period of time with all the marbles,
Mhm.
and we like wait online. Like he told me about the boss battle. I've never really heard of this. I didn't know what it was, but obviously, like marbles has been to a bunch of events,
Right.
and we've talked a little bit on Discord before. But then we like talked. It was mostly me telling like my life story, admittedly, and then later on, like we talked more at like breakfast a few days later. But like we waited online for maybe like 2 hours for the boss battle, and yeah, I just like we just talked about my life for a long time and just like some philosophies I have and whatnot. And that conversation was probably my favorite part of the Friday, honestly.
Nice.
But then other than that, trying to acquire some of the like world's exclusive merch was obviously a little bit difficult, but ended up working out pretty well. Um, I didn't realize that the pack of sleeves would have been the first thing to go. I
Oh,
thought
was
it
it?
would have been something else. Yeah. So
Oh,
like, yeah, I ended up giving mine to someone that lent me uniques. I didn't like it was just very nice of them to let me unique. So obviously I want to like help out where I can. I don't care much about sleeves, but like yeah, apparently they were like the highest demand thing. It was like the sleeves, then the pins, the enamel pins, um and then nothing else sold out until the third day. Like both of those sold out at the end of the first or first and a half day. Which is pretty surprising to me. But like I also don't know the supply. Like they probably anticipated that playmats would be like pretty high. And I was also surprised that people weren't as into the serialized prints, like the prints of the things that were on the playmats. There's only 100 copies of each, and even at the end of the tournament, there were still like huge stacks of them left, which
you're
was
talking
pretty
about
weird.
like the arts and
Yeah,
everything? Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I
yeah.
was
So that
surprised too. That sounds like
yeah,
something that would everyone would want to get along with the playmats, but mm,
yeah. I wonder if some of it was transportation. Like I had a hard time transporting mine home, so maybe like playmats are just easier to transport, and like maybe they're slightly more practical. But yeah, I thought the prints would have been in reasonably high demand, but who knows? Other fun things. I mean, meeting AQZ in person was fantastic. Like the antics through text message is great, but like doing it in person's obviously a little
for
bit
sure.
better.
Especially since,
Um,
like, it's a thing where the majority of them aren't in the US kind of
mhm,
thing, right? And so that
yeah,
was one of the things that I was interested in, and we don't have to dive into it a whole bunch, is being part of a team that is, I mean, for the most part, located not in your same
mhm,
time zone kind of thing, right?
yeah,
Um, I could imagine it would be difficult in some sense to coordinate and everything, and granted, gamers have different, time clocks in their head then can vary there. But it's always interesting when something like that works out, and then obviously getting to meet them in person, I'm sure was great. And you've gotten obviously to meet the folks that are some of them
in the
within North
States. Yeah.
America, but as far as over on that side, I'm sure that was great as a whole. But I do want to shout out all the marbles, Robbie. All right. Now that we're through the first day, we can actually get into you finally have submitted your deck lists, and now we're
My
getting into
goodness.
the top 32, right? Where you actually get to play and not watch other people play and confuse yourself more, right?
Yeah.
So the top 32 was a slightly different format comparative to what we saw before, and even for the rest of the event itself, where I think it was a good idea overall to narrow it down to the top 16 in some fashion, so everything
Mhm.
didn't take too long. But essentially, what it was is basically everyone got separated into groups of four, where you
Yep.
all played a Swiss round, I guess, where first to once you get two wins, you pass in the top 16. If you get
Mhm.
two losses, you're out, right?
Yep.
So your group in particular included
Mhm.
yourself, winner of US qualifier in Dallas on Kojo. You had Kenton, which was one of the four qualifiers from the French qualifier in Lille, who had played a Faunus at that qualifier.
Yep.
Chang, the Taiwan qualifier, who won on Basira,
Yep.
and then Elbor, one of the winners from the morning LCQ on
Yep.
Friday, who ended up making it through with Teija, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So now you obviously ended up making it through this to the
Mhm.
top 16, but this is where you took your first and only match loss,
Yeah.
2-1 to Elbor, the winner of that LCQ. So
Mhm.
talk to us a little about that match in particular, if you can, and then we can go from there into the round overall.
Yeah. So against Elbor, so we both won our first round. Um, and then so his lineup is Teja, Itzadi, and Traced. And I know that he won with Teja. I literally watched it while building my decks, and I'm
Mm.
just like my top priority was to ban Basira because that's the only reason why I didn't want to play Trace. And then if they don't have Basira, I'm going to ban the deck that they're known for, or if it's utterly broken. So, um, so it was pretty clear. So just as a reminder for people, so I play Kojo Sigismar Trace. So they banned my Sigismar, which ends up being a theme in this event. Ironically, I heard that Pava didn't get to play Kojo at all in the event, and I, not counting the finals, got to play Kojo 5 out of 7 rounds. So clearly, the perception of us is very different in the public. I think that's what happened with Chili Kakoba, actually.
Yeah.
Like people just read this Kakoba and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to play against this," and like other Baba Yaga draw uniques.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I had a game of Kojo last more than 5 to 7 minutes. And the only game of Kojo I lost was the finals in game one, where I punted the first 2 days, which wasn't great, obviously. But focusing more on what's at hand. So I ban his Teja, he bans my Sigismar. Game one, I queue Kojo into Atsadi, which is typically a pretty good matchup for Kojo. Um, yeah, there ends up being like some mistrigger like sort of things that ends up making the game a little bit easier. I think ultimately I would have won anyways, but yeah, it was just like, a little bit like high pressure moment and all that sort of stuff. Game two, it's my Trace against Itsadi, and Trace historically has a pretty bad Itsadi matchup from what I gather. I will be honest, that was like the event was probably like my third game ever with Trace, so that probably doesn't help. I just I thought people would ban Trace, but literally no one ever banned my Trace. It was only Kojo or Sigismar. And then B, I just thought like I've been demolished so much by Trace, I figured I would just know the play patterns. But turns out turn one and two, like if you haven't played a lot, are like pretty unintuitive. Like how like are you trying to get Trace online? Are you trying to like get expeditions to be even? Like what are you actually trying to do? Um, Ironically, like my best Trace games were the ones where I just like tried to play like Kojo or Sigismar like I wanted to originally. But yeah, so I got stomped on the Sadi. Then we played Trace Mirror, and it's funny. Like on day two or three, like uh, I forgot why, but just like somewhere in the conversation, I kind of just like brought up like how I haven't really like played much Trace, and they're like, yeah, I literally haven't played Trace before this event. And then what happens in game three, which I guess is probably the most like interesting one, was so it's like I would say I'm really bad at Trace on turn one and two just because I didn't think about like the openings that much. But from like day three onwards, I think I'm like still like very good, like above average. So it's like I think it's like I think of it as like in chess, you can have really bad pawn structure, but understand like some macro things that are going on, and that's like kind of what happened. So my opening hand, I feel like I'll never forget this, but my opening hand was
Frankenstein, Haven, Restocking Station, Reef, Armor Jammer. And I was just like, all right, this Haven better hit a 1-drop. And then like Haven hit like just not like I think Haven hit like another like two like another Haven or something like
That's what I was
that.
thinking. The first thing that I think of Haven always hitting a second Haven.
I was just like, I can't believe this is how like I go 1-1 in like my group stage. So then luckily Elbor opened up with just a 1-0 on day one. Um, then I got to a spot where I take a 2-1 later, and then threw like a Frankenstein with a bug out bag, which is kind of like one of the easiest ways to like split both sides. Or if you like gibble plus like do something with bug out bag. And then we end up in a spot where I'm pretty sure he only had one Frankenstein left in his deck. He might have had two, but my narrative in my head at least has him have one left. And then he has no cards in hand, activates Trace with two up, and then hits Frankenstein at lose. So yeah, so that felt kind of focusing bad. More on the Elbor match. Yeah, so I just like end up losing that one, and like yeah, like at that point I didn't know how bad I was at playing Trace, but it still felt kind of bad to like have not as much agency as I would have liked in a few spots.
Yeah, I mean, that kinda goes into the follow-up question I had as far as the top 32, and, I mean, it speaks to Trace a little bit, but I think it also speaks to the format as a whole. It's This would have been your first exposure, and realistically everyone's first exposure to the Conquest format within
Yeah.
Altered as far as a competitive event. Was there anything different than what you were expecting or prepared for that caused you to have to reevaluate and make a change from that round of 32 where you took that match loss into the top 16? Or was it just cross your fingers and hope that someone bans Traced?
Yeah, so actually, so just going back to my first round, so I played Cheng in the first round.
Yeah.
I banned their Basira because I know that they won their qualifier with that. They banned my Sigismar. So the first thing we did was we played a Trace Mirror to like open the match. And admittedly, he said he didn't play that much Trace, but like I saw what was happening and why I was losing, and I just like misevaluated like how to use Grems. That Haven's like boost just matters so much for like how you push like in the identical stats. Like my Keelan Elemental has this Haven and your Keelan Elemental doesn't. Like those types of things. It's like sounds obvious in retrospect, but just like his like pacing was just different than mine. Like it was just very interesting. So yeah, I end up like losing the Trace Mirror. Then I trace his Sigismar. Then I Kojo his Sigismar by like I'm up like 3 expeditions, then time's called, and then like when time's called, you play one more day, and whoever's advanced for more. And it's just
Mhm.
like, well, you can't triple advance, so like I guess it's just over. So that was kind of fun. Yeah, so I definitely like learned a lot there, and then yeah, I mean, I guess fast forwarding, but like I think the thing I learned most throughout playing the Conquest format was really just learning how to play Trace. And
Mhm.
like even by the end, I like was just fine. And like I'm saying fine on the world level. Like I understand like I was probably playing like reasonably by a lot of people's standards, but like, you know,
Yeah.
when you're like when you're not like doing your forte type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good players there, right? So
Yeah.
it's you want to play fine, but you also want to play a little bit better than fine, right?
Yeah. So I guess probably like the best way to fast forward is just go into like my winning in for top 16.
Yeah.
So like to make av groups.
Yeah.
And like to be honest, at the start of the day, really the thing I wanted more than anything was to make it av groups. It's like from a pride perspective, it's like finishing the top half. Like it
Yeah.
would just feel good.
And it gives you like another day technically. Although you guys did end up playing top 16 round in the that
Yeah,
second day. So
we played like
yeah. Yeah.
two rounds, and they wanted us to play up to three, and
Yeah.
then we like stopped
Yeah.
after everyone played two.
Right.
But yeah, so actually, while getting like lunch from the meal truck, Kenton walks up to me and he's just like, "Hey, I really admire you as a Kojo player. You're very good at Kojo. You won't be playing Kojo against me, and like your trace uniques seem a little like suspect, like type of thing." Which is true. I was actually playing two of Marbles' uniques, which I was very grateful he was able to lend me both like a Anansi style, one on both, one on just yours.
Mhm.
And then the last one I borrowed from Fernico because I got destroyed by this like weird Martingale enabler unique that he had. But yeah, like every time I played a Trace Mirror, I was just like, all of your uniques are better than mine. Like I knew that up front. I didn't need him to tell me, but you know, it's still nice. So our match ended up being I had to ban his Basira that had like 2 Lyran Hydras to go with Nuit, and you just like quad advanced or whatever. I'm just like, well, not being that today. Um, and then after, so what he has left is like Fen with 2 Studious Disciples that are just like Incasters. And then one Disciple that just
arrow like flamels. So pretty good.
Yeah.
Fen and his trace, which is like a little bit better than mine, admittedly.
Yeah.
So I lead with trace because I just need to get a win. I have Sigismar behind,
Right.
and then I end up losing to Fen in a game that was like pretty decisive. I mean, I could have gotten a little bit luckier, but I knew on average I would lose that game on like turn 3, like day 3.
Yeah.
Um, then I had to play the Trace Mirror, but I actually win this one, which was good. I ended up like prioritizing my Havens over Restocking Station, which is the main mistake I made in the first round. So then I just like outsized him, even though like his cards were a little bit better. And then yeah, was just able to get there eventually. So then for the last game, so I'm playing Sigismar against Trace, and like I believe in the meta, like Trace is kind of known as a Sigismar killer. But I kind of hope that like my extra Ascend would help. So he actually leads on his Ysmir Stargazer unique. It is a 2/1. I'm not referencing notes. This is just burned into my mind. It's a 2/1, 1/0/1. Arrow, you can put a card from your hand into the reserve, give it a boost. And then at dusk, you can discard a card from your reserve to give something fleeting.
Mhm.
So what he ends up doing is he like leads on the Stargazer and then just like uses this at dusk every turn to just run me out of cards.
Yeah.
And outside my uniques, I don't have any card draw. I have like some Ordis Attorneys, but like really I can't beat this. But
Yeah.
ironically, because of its stat line, so it's like virtually a 2/1/2, and he's playing it every turn with a Restocking Station. So somewhere, I forget if it was earlier or later, but yeah, I'm able to like store one turn to like get through this, and then I also have like Ugly Duckling on another turn. So it's just really funny how this end lined up with the stats. Like if it was a 0/1/1, I think I might not win. Like it was still kind of interesting. But like the exact like that's why the uniques are actually really cool in this game. Like certain things only happen because the unique just happened to be printed that way.
Right.
Um, so what ends up happening is this was a very tough decision, but pretty much it's like it's day 3, so going to the 5th mana, and I draw for my turn. I have nothing relevant in my reserve, if anything. I don't remember that part. And my hand after drawing is Ordis Attorney, Gargoyle, Teamwork Training.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, the problem is if he like waits to play his Stargazer, then I need to like play 2 like characters because I'm first player. And then if like he doesn't, or like if he does lead on it, then I get to Teamwork Training it after playing something. So it's just like the problem is if he can like sandbag it or like frozen delivery enough, I need the second. So I actually don't mana on day 3. So I just have four mana. He manas. And then I like play I play I think I had to play Gargoyle for some reason. Oh yeah, I had to play Gargoyle because the token would be able to get through the boosted Stargazer because
Right.
it would be a 2/1/2. So I guess 0/1/1 didn't matter there. But yeah, exactly. So it was still just enough to break through, and my terrains were good for, or biomes were good for the Gargoyle on that side. So then he plays the Stargazer. I Teamwork Training it, and then I think we trade 1/1 this day or something like that. So now, like I have Ordis Attorney, like a Gargoyle in my reserve, and then he's going into his turn, and he like doesn't mana. So like now we can get to mana parity, which is like pretty wild. But he's actually a little bit low in resources himself because he's been using the Stargazer every turn to
Mhm.
like give my things fleeting.
Discard cards. Yeah.
Yeah, so this ends up being a theme in the event, but I'm very much one of the luckiest people I know. But so when I drew in this tournament, I would put both cards down to just show that it's 2 cards, and I would draw them one at a time.
Yeah.
So I put my 2 cards down, and I'm just like, okay, like tournament life on the line. If I'm gonna win this, this is gonna be Chili Cacoba 1 drop. And just to let people know, just in case I don't have it, Chili Cacoba is like a 4/4 unique. It's a Cacoba that's owned by Chili,
Yeah.
and
We'll put
it's
it
a
up on the screen for everyone, just so you
great, but
know.
it's a 2/2/2. From
Yeah.
hand, you make a token. I won't bother you with which side it's on. You make a token, so it's virtually like 3/3/3, and then token spams. So when you play something, it makes another token, and that's at dusk. If you have 4 more characters, you draw 2 cards. So if you have your token in play, and then on 5 mana, play Chili Cacoba and a 1 drop. Now you have 4 characters in play, or
And
sorry, or you have 5 characters in play. So
yeah.
even if they kill 1, it's fine because you have your token from Sigismar. Cacoba makes 1, so now you have 3, and when you play your 1 drop, you have 5 total because of token spams.
Right.
So then my draws, and like keep in mind, my big thing in NUC and playing Sigismar this whole time has been Ugly Duck is just better Jack Frost. Jack Frost might get you half a card, but Ugly Duck is gonna get you the advance. And you can play it for 1. Like so anyhow, my draws are Chili Cacoba, Ugly Duckling, and I,
Mhm.
like, literally just sit back in my chair, and I'm just like, "Oh my god, like, this is it." So then I just, like, Mana the Ordis Attorney, I play Chili Cacoba the duck, he ends up overflowing his, landmarks with an Armored Jammer, so he's able to get rid of the Cacoba, but the damage is already done, and then I just, like, double advance, like or I think I 2-1 twice and then end up, like, winning. I was just like, "Okay," like, I made it out, and I was very unlikely to make it out.
Yeah.
But the thing that was very nice on the exit, which he could have just been saying it, but like I took it to be very sincere, and we were very cordial in the match. But he was saying how like a lot of his teammates and friends were kind of just like talking about like who is your pick to win worlds, and just like seeing the list of like players, and everyone was just like saying all these French players and stuff. And Kenton, from what he said, was adamant in the beginning. He's like, Rinku's the person we should worry about.
Yeah.
And then everyone's just like, I don't know, like, does he have the uniques? Doesn't he just play Kojo and all this stuff? And he's like, no, like, and yeah, so that was very flattering and gave me some momentum going to the top 16.
For sure. And I could see how they wouldn't know either as far as you in particular. It's not like you've
Yeah, as far as people not banning my
yeah.
Kojo, I
Yeah.
get it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what can you do? But, all right. So we get you into the top 16.
Mhm.
So we're now officially at a double elimination top 16
Yeah, yeah.
bracket.
Second life. I have
Yeah.
revived.
No
Yeah,
matter what, you're good. You can lose at least once here if you went to, but
yeah.
spoiler alert, you do end up running the table. Not to say you didn't have some close matches along the way,
Oh
right?
yeah.
You did play a gauntlet of, I mean, really good players. I think I'm going to read them all off here, and I've heard of every single one of them doing well in some capacity, right?
Mhm.
So we had Banish, Nadir, Javi Navarro, Luigi, and Vittorio in the finals.
Yeah.
So obviously a lot of really good players there. So for you, what was your mindset going through this bracket, like match after match? Did it ever hit you as you kept winning that you could win the event,
Mm.
causing like any form of nerves? I know you've mentioned before in our previous interview is nerves isn't always a thing for you in particular.
Yeah.
You like being in the spot of like being on stream and playing the game and whatnot. But was that there basically just want to get your overall thoughts of in that top 16 bracket and everything leading up to the like you
Finals.
mentioned with the top 32, you may have gotten lucky a few times as far as
Yeah.
like certain matchups. Shout out to the Gibble.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
The Gibble, the hunger, like we can
yeah,
go over all of
yeah.
them, but yeah.
But yeah, just like mindset as you're progressing through it because you came off of, I mean, what sounds like a rough top 32 of just
Yeah.
making it in, right? And then you have to go through this top 16 as well, where, yeah, you have a second life, but at the same time, if you lose, that's even more that you have to play. And that's just showing, I mean, honestly, to players, specifically the LCQ players
Yeah.
that did really well in the event that did make it. Like, I think there was a good amount that made it really far.
Yeah, they crushed it. Like
Yeah,
in terms of percentage, I think they like put any individual region to shame with like how
yeah.
well just the LCQ chunk did.
Yeah, but just the level of, like, sheer, like, possible just, like, exhaustion of just playing the game is concerned. I'm sure it's not a thing of you wanting to fall to the losers bracket. So, yeah,
Yeah.
just general
Yeah.
mindset overall as you're advancing, any level
Yeah.
of nerves, or was there something else that came to your mind as you were going through it?
Yeah, totally. I mean, Val will be the first one to tell you that I literally said, except for literally my round one and my finals, that my
Mhm.
opponent's lineup was better than mine.
Yeah.
There were, I think the thing I was most afraid of at some point wasn't players. It was literally just uniques people can get their hands on. So like Javi is a good example. Like Javi had the Auroch deck that he won with. So resupply, very good resupply uniques. Sigismar, which he's played and he beat me in a WCQ when I was playing Basira. Like I knew he knew what he was doing on Sigismar's kind of a Sigismar main. But then like I was like, oh, if it's just those two, I could probably just like ban one and then like do whatever. But then his third deck is literally just Easy Lopez's like Teija, and I'm like, well, I'm never beating that deck, so I literally had to ban that one, and just because like Easy Lopez is on the same team as him, so it's like all these networks like made it like pretty difficult. Like Banish had ExAlts, Nadir had all of Altered Aces, um, yeah, Vittoria has Ant, like like I don't know who Luigi's associated with, and honestly, a lot of their uniques were a little bit more tame as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I think, and this was true leading up to the event, that I actually felt a lot of stress from the unique perspective. Like, I was worried that the uniques would shine too brightly,
Yeah.
and that would like put me at too much of a disadvantage. That it just didn't matter if I was like getting these small advantages, if they could just like, yeah, Lear and Hydra like knew at me twice or something. Like,
Yeah.
so, so I was definitely feeling that. But yeah, like I said, like by the time I was like in the top 8 or top 4, like Val was just like, yeah, you've been like saying that every round, like, you know, like you can keep on thinking that, but like obviously you can still tussle or whatever. And like it's not like my uniques were bad. I did not own any of my uniques I played. I did borrow all of them. I borrowed 9 uniques from 8 people.
Mm.
And yeah, so like I'm very thankful to obviously all those people for lending it to me. But yeah, so yeah, as you mentioned, like the best way I can put it is like when there's like something on the line, like I like to still keep it like cordial and chatty, like this is a game, but like it really does feel like home. It's like I can't, it's like I can't live there forever, but like it is the place, and it's the version of me I like being the most. Like it's yeah, I really do enjoy it. One problem I have at card game tournaments is in general, regardless of stakes, unless if there's literally no prize. But if you put like literally $1 on the line, it doesn't matter if it's $1 or $1,000.
Yeah.
I actually have a problem like eating at events.
Yeah.
I think part of it might be conditioning. So I've been playing high level like card games since I was very young, and I was too frugal to want to eat convention center food.
Mm.
So I just wouldn't. But then also I think my maybe I don't want the tail to wag the dog, but like maybe I also like cause myself to like have a slower metabolism when I am doing these
Yeah.
activities, which isn't uncommon in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Val was actually like impressed that before my match against Kenton, I did eat lunch because I was just like, if I do win this match, I might have to play up to 3 more matches. And like Altered is like such like it's such an intense game. Like it's great, but like it definitely takes a lot of brain power if you're trying to like get every single edge. Like I'm trying to memorize their deck list. I'm trying to like set up these biomes and terrains. Like that, it's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. It's a marathon. It's running across its multiple times, right?
I
Yeah,
definitely
literally.
shifted from like I don't, I'm not like religious or anything, but I went from like in the top 32 just being like, please just like if anything can
Yeah.
let me like leave this like be in the top half of worlds, like I
Yeah.
could go home happy. And kind of similar to Dallas, it's like once I like sneak into something, I'm so good when it's like house money.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like, wow, I have like 2 lives now. Like I was just like back against it. Like let's just go wild.
Right.
So yeah, I didn't feel yeah, I didn't feel like nerves in any sort of way. I feel like so the one I don't want to say the individuals in particular, just because I don't know if this is like an embarrassing story or like appropriate or anything. So
Okay.
there was a time where a person was talking to another person, um, both important people relative to like Altered and stuff, about I think it was like maybe when losers finals was happening, maybe a little bit before that. I don't remember the exact timing,
Yeah.
but they were pretty much saying how like potentially the future of Altered could rely on me winning, specifically because I have a presence in other games. I am from the United States, which has been a little bit harder for Altered to break into. Not that other people wouldn't be deserving, but like for this game to like grow and prosper in this point in time, I could be a good conduit for that. It didn't
Yeah.
say
It would be
anything
good.
about the competitors. It was merely like
Yeah.
my both my reach in other games and other spheres, and then specifically being the only North American person left. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I like punted my game one of the finals, and like to be fair, I might have lost anyways, but it felt really bad to play like specifically day one, and it was either 2 or 3 like really badly, and I was just like, man, like all I could think about was the conversation that these people had in front of me about how like I was like possibly affecting Alter's future, whether or not I win. And I'm like, this is not the way I want this to happen.
So you were more worried about that than anything else. Look at you. Just
Yeah. Well, there was actually another thing that was like actually like it probably could have prevented me from winning worlds. So what happened was um I know not everyone was fortunate to get everything they wanted from the shop for their friends and stuff like that. Like
Mhm.
if you wanted something from the shop, like you wanted a certain playmat, it was pretty easy to get it.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to get more stuff, it was actually a little bit harder. So at the start of day 3, so the top 8 plus,
Yeah.
I like got there a little bit early. I found out that I could buy like a Teija playmat for Idyllic with cash, and I'm like, great, like I'll just buy it, sell it
Yeah.
to him, no markup, like very
So you could
thankful.
have it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Just try to get one playmat for each of my teammates and people
Mhm.
I care about. So I like got one, but the problem was they ran out of these like nice boxes that like were pretty much like playmat holders. So I was just holding on to it, and then I was like talking to like Trickster Marbles, a few people at a table right next to the feature match area, and I'm like holding on to the playmat, and then like someone pulls me aside and is just like, "Oh, you gotta like go play on camera against Hobby right now." I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, like that's fine." And then I go and I like play my match. Literally, like after I shake hands, like make sure everything's cool and stuff, I go to leave the area. I'm just like, so where's the Teija playmat? I'm just like look around and I'm like, I don't see it.
Yeah.
And then, I'm like freaking out and I like hate misplacing things. I like don't have the best memory, but I try to come up with like processes and stuff. I'm like, man, like I didn't want to like crush in my backpack, but now I can't find it. So I tell Simon and ExAlts Aran, I think his name is
Yeah,
Aaron.
just Aaron. Yeah.
Aaron? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I just wasn't sure how to pronounce it, but yeah,
Yeah.
Aaron. And I tell them, and they're like, "Well, where did you leave it?" I'm like, "Oh, I left on the table." I tell them what I told you, and then like Simon's like, "Maybe check the lost and found," but like I have a break, I can go look for it. But like this is literally just a Teija mat, like anyone could take it,
Yeah.
right? So then what happens is I go lost and found, it's not there, and I'm like, fine, like I have a job. It's not a big deal. I'll eat the 30 euro loss. I'll just buy another one. Like it's not a big deal.
Mhm.
So then I just like run straight to like the counter where you can like buy these things. No Tejo mask left. And I'm like, oh my God, like I feel so bad. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I'm like freaking out. I'm like looking everywhere. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm like still in Worlds. I like actually have to like just stop at
Focused.
some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
So like Val and I go to the bathroom, which is like in the beginning of the event hall area. And then I'm just like, I go to the bathroom, I like sit down on like a couch because I'm waiting for it to finish. I'm just like very much like head in hands, like really just trying to play back, like where could I have left it other than at the table? And then I get like a message on Discord from how in Discord if someone sends you a message but they've never sent you one before, it like shows like message requests or something.
Yeah.
I'm just like on Discord randomly, just like updating the team, like, hey, like I won, like that was cool, everyone saw it, but like I feel bad that like I was literally gonna text like I'm sorry, I like don't have a playmat for like Dan now. Like, do you want a different one?
Yeah.
For Delic. So then so then what ends up happening is I see message requests and it's from Aaron and he's just like, yeah, I got your playmat. I'm just like, oh my God. I'm like first the Gibble, like I think this is luckier than the Gibble. Like this is wild. What's even wilder about the Gibble is I also needed him to roll like down on the trickster and resupply. Like okay, like I'm gonna do the math later, but I was like less than 1% to win that game,
Yeah.
even with the Gibble.
Right.
But yeah, so then I go to Aaron, and he ends up telling me that he like spoke to the people that were drafting at the table that I was at. So it was like 8 people or something, and just like explained the situation. Like, and then like 6 of them just very quickly said that like they haven't seen it, they don't have it. So then Aaron just like goes away, and apparently like 5 minutes later, the other 2 came up to him with the Teija playmat. Was like, I think this is the Teija playmat you were talking about,
Yeah.
and that was it. And
Yeah.
then so
Yeah.
like when you run hot, like you're just hotter than the sun and
Yeah.
everything.
Who
Apparently,
who needs hunter? I mean, hungers and gibbles when you just have like Tasha playmats, right? So
yeah, yes,
everything is aligning for you. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have asked 2 better people between Simon and
Yeah,
Aaron. I
past
think
that, you kind of went through a little bit as far as the top 16 bracket,
the players or the decks that you were worried about the most, or just it
mhm,
was more so uniques than actual decks and players. I think at this point,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
definitely.
nothing crazy there, but I guess going into the finals itself, I mean, we had in the losers finals, it was Luigi and Vittorio.
Mhm,
Did you before the finals it started? Did you have like a preference there? Did you think one was going to win over the other? I mean, I'm sure at this point, when you could watch games, you
mhm,
wanted to and get an idea of both of their decks. Was there a
yeah.
preference there?
Well, answering the questions out of order.
Yeah.
Do you know that I commentated one round?
Yeah, I did know that. Yes.
And like literally, I'm like halfway through the single game. I like text Val. I'm like, tell Cole someone else has to do this. I did not realize how tired I am. And then I just like like once I leave the booth, I literally just like put my head on the table and just like
Okay.
couldn't like do it. So that was funny. Yeah. So I would say like I didn't really know Vittoria like before the event. After playing the finals and stuff, like it was great playing with them and stuff. But I like really enjoyed the interactions I had with Luigi, both like before, during, and after the game. So like purely from that standpoint, I wanted Luigi to be in the finals because
Mhm.
like just as a story, like falling back down to losers, like losing to this lineup, beating Vittorio on the same lineup, and then getting his revenge on Rinku. Like I thought the storyline, like Vittorio's was also really good because Vittorio got into losers like rather early. Like
Mhm.
it was from top 8. I think he fell down.
Yeah.
Like I think top 16 like is everyone. Then he won his first one, then lost, I believe.
He lost in
Um,
top 16 to Nadir.
Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, like literally the maximum amount of matches that could have been played. So like Vittorio's like I didn't know that at the time, but like Vittorio's like line was like pretty good. But like to answer truthfully in the moment,
Yeah.
just like I thought the story of Luigi winning would be really good. So
Yeah,
then, and I really enjoyed our interaction. So
for sure.
I did have a bias there.
Yeah. That makes sense. When I was, watching it, I don't think I minded either way, but I did have, like, a previous experience of talking to Vittorio. He
Yeah.
was when I first started doing these interviews, I think he was the 2nd person I've ever spoken to do these interviews. The first was actually Nadir, um,
Okay. Yeah.
uh, based off of, the first, event in France, the 1,000
Yep.
plus players in Angers. Nadir ended up getting second, and Vittorio got top 16, and
Oh wow. Okay.
he was running a Sigismar list that had Kraken in it. Um,
Wow. Okay.
so that's what I remembered him from initially. So I was like, I would be surprised to see him. And then obviously he's had his own stuff going on that past
Yeah.
that, but it's just funny how both of those players
I
are still
mean,
around. I know
finals
Nadir itself though, we did end up getting to see you versus Vittorio.
Yeah.
Um, how did you
Yeah.
feel going into it based off of knowing the decks? And you did kinda mention that other than this one, you felt like the players just had better unique/decks than you did, but you didn't mention the finals though, if I remember
Right.
correctly.
So yeah, my first round and my finals were the only time I did not say that they had better uniques than me.
Mhm,
Don't get me wrong, like the uniques were good.
mhm.
Vittorio's trace uniques were better than mine. Um, his Kojo, like the best way to describe it is like, for instance, like Pava plays like a Tsadi Kojo kind of like it's like this more rampy like style, like that like some of the French people have adopted. And then like you have like A Craft that plays Basira that is Kojo style, like very low to the ground with tons of one drops and stuff. So if you look at Vittorio's list, I think it's more like a Kojo list that really is Basira. Like you can see that just from the helping hands and just like the
Yeah,
overall structure of the deck. But like instead of just relying on the extra boost, saying that like the Buddha pacing helps a lot more. And I could see that being true because when you're trying to play like Wingsuit Jumper or like the Suha, and like you're trying to like establish presence on both sides, it makes like your physical training's a lot better too, which I think he was playing two or three of. Like like most of his rares were literally just like Suha's wingsuit jumpers and like physical trainings, like just huge card advantage, like very Basira like.
yeah, 3 physical trainings, it looks like, yeah.
Yeah. So but yeah, I think overall in terms of uniques, like his was a lot more manageable outside of the trace ones just being better than mine.
Mhm,
He did have really good uniques for Skybound Odyssey, but I still thought that my Sigismar list was a little bit better in the mirror because I just think the lower to the ground like Ascend is better than Skybound Odyssey unless if they play a lot of Haven Warriors. I
yeah,
think Haven Warriors like the big problem, not as much like the stuff surrounding it. Because once you want to play Skybound Odyssey, you want to play Rare Trooper, and once you play Rare Trooper, like you're losing stuff in other spots. So like really just to make this card work, but like what Void told me, who's like the main Sigismar player on AQZ, was just like if you have the uniques for Skybound Odyssey, you probably play Skybound Odyssey, but if not, like whatever nonsense I want to do is probably fine. So
yeah, I get
I guess
you.
that's fine.
Yeah, and
Um,
and then just, like, the different heroes and everything as far as the finals is concerned, that's one of the initial things I had for you as far as what was
mhm,
different about the finals
yeah,
itself, is since you were the winner on the top side of the bracket, you came into the finals with a 1-0 lead in, I
yeah.
mean, really Altered's first official best of 5, right?
Mhm.
Was there ever a question on what deck you were gonna give that win to?
I literally like won my top four and like joked if I can just like leave my trace somewhere. Like, can I just give the deck to someone else? Like, I don't need it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like it's really the tournament I wanted, which is I wanted like Conquest no ban. Which, like, to be honest, I would not have made the finals with Conquest no ban. Like, I really did have to ban the decks that I did,
Yeah.
especially like Kenton's like Lair Hydra deck. So yeah, I mean that's been my argument since the beginning. Like, I believe Conquest with ban plays to my strengths. I want what is good for like everyone. So
Yeah.
like I didn't want ban, but
I
like I
remember
never
you
wanted
saying
the
that too.
finals
You
ban.
said
Yeah.
that directly to me, like, "I don't want it, but I know it'll help me." So,
Yeah,
like, it is what.
I am personally against it. I do think that if they make it that format, that plays more to my strengths. Like if they have Conquest with a ban, I think my probability of doing better at Worlds is higher. So I'm not even doing this from the stance of like my personal
So,
interest.
like,
Like
it
I
is what
think,
it is, but yeah,
yeah,
and just with that, I'm also curious because of this variation within the finals, what are your overall thoughts as far as the choice to have the finals be set up in that way where you did get that 1-0 advantage
yeah,
and as being the winner bracket champion? Because I've had discussions with different people and they feel differently about it between
mhm,
the idea of can you reset a bracket in a TCG, or is that going to take too long, or is that just not worth it, or do you give the 1-0 advantage? does the other player get to decide which deck that you won with type of thing rather than you getting to decide all these different variations, but I was curious on your thoughts on that as a whole.
Yeah. One, I think in the interest of time, you probably can't back bracket reset, but that one would be ideal.
Yeah.
Um, like just for tournament continuity, I think it's
Yeah.
good. Like we've been playing the whole bracket this way. Why don't we like play it
Yeah.
more? Um, and like people could learn things. But yeah, if you're saying that that's off the table, I actually think this was probably the most elegant answer because like if you start 1-0 and let the opponent choose what to ban, then you're still just playing with your worst decks, and then they get to like play their best. I don't know. It feels like it's not even an advantage then, like,
Yeah.
or it's like very marginal if they like choose the ban, if the opponent chooses the ban. I think what I originally thought it was because like there were a lot of rules to the event. I actually thought that I just started with a win and didn't have to validate anything. So I actually showed up to the finals with all three decks, and they're
Oh,
like,
so you thought you could plug it in if you needed to. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Which one could argue is too much of an advantage, but I still thought that would have been reasonable. So this is like a little bit stricter than that, so I think it's good. Like I think in the interest of time, it's probably the best solution that could be had in the format.
Honestly, I mean,
Yeah.
although the final, breakdown was 3-1, I I think there were definitely scenarios where we still could have seen Vittorio, nothing against you or anything, pull out a victory and make it a pretty close one as far as going into that final game,
Yeah, if
as a whole.
if I didn't draw hunger,
Yeah,
I think I was a dog. Like I think I was like 20% to win the finals or something. Like I
yeah,
think it would have been really hard to specifically win the game that like he gets to choose who goes first at the
yeah.
end. So like I think to that end, it seems like the advantage was not insurmountable, right? Like ideally I played better in my first two games of the finals. Yeah, I also punted like game two too. Yeah, it was a rough time. I mean, I will say that like having like a 3 or 4 hour gap was really bad for me. Like I didn't
Okay.
even know how to stay warm. Like I think like people are like, oh wow, like fatigue, Vittorio, croissants, but like on my side, like
I was gonna mention Vittorio, like, you were talking about not eating, and then I have the picture of Vittorio just eating.
it's so
Just
good.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you have to use that for something.
Yeah, I'll
Um,
plug it in here. I'm gonna plug it in here and then backtrack it and plug it when you're talking
wait,
about
wait,
not eating.
have you seen the me talking to Vittorio afterwards and the Vittorio like eye roll? Like that one's really
Yeah,
good.
I've seen that picture too.
Yeah, yeah, we
I
can throw
tried to
that one
save
up too.
yeah,
Yeah.
I tried to find all the drives of all the pictures just so
Well,
I could have them for stuff.
Well, so that like picture doesn't have the words behind it.
Yeah.
So what happened was that like after I celebrated and all this stuff, AQZ like hoisted me up. I was like really like playing off the crowd and stuff. There's this one really good photo that like there's a lot of good ones, but one that like made me realize just how much my win meant to other people too. Was like there's a picture that's taken on a diagonal, and it's me like going like this and like screaming. But you can see like on the bottom right hand corner, you can see Trickster just like and like, Trickster's great. He's not exactly the most expressive guy all the time.
Right.
And I just like look at that. I'm like, wow, like for someone to like feel that way about my victory, this is amazing.
Yeah,
And
for
I saw
sure.
that. But anyhow, so after AQZ like hoisted me up, and then like I came back down and hugged them a little. Like I've never really like popped off like that before, partially because I didn't feel like I ever had anything that was that deserving, but also I like am way too like conscious of how I'm making other people feel, and like I just care a lot about like I've lost a lot of finals too. So like at some point I literally just like push AQZ away from him. People want to like shake my hand and stuff. I'm like, I have to talk to Vittoria. I have to make sure like he's fine. So I
Mhm.
went up to him. He was like talking to Rocco and some of his friends. And then I was just like, hey, like, I just want to make sure, like, are you fine? He's like, no, no, like, live it up. This is great and stuff. I'm just like, yeah, I'm just like very sympathetic. I've been in your situation too. And let's be honest, if I don't draw the hunger, like, you're probably the one that's doing this. And that's the eye roll.
Okay.
Like
Gotcha.
that is the text that happened right before this photo was taken. Like I just
Gotcha.
brought up the hunger like one more time, not to dagger him, but I'm just like, yeah, like if that didn't happen, we know you would have won. And then
Yeah.
and then that photo was taken.
Yeah, that was gonna be one of my questions for, like, the finals overall is, like, I wasn't gonna make you give, like, a full breakdown of every single game, although I'm sure you could,
Yeah.
go through all of them, but just, like, the highlight of the finals as a whole and just, like, different parts of it. I have to imagine the hunger is one of them kind of thing,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
So what went into that turn was just like all these other times with
Yeah.
like Gibble and stuff. Like I kind of just like I don't want to say I manifested because I don't completely believe in that, especially when it comes to strict luck. But like
You don't believe in the heart of the cards?
I mean, I just wouldn't call it that. I believe in some amount of maybe fate and destiny, but who
Yeah,
knows. But
yeah.
so pretty much what happens is I like have to draw the hunger, and I put down my two cards, And then I just say to myself, like, if this card, and it's just the first card I'm drawing, not the second one. I'm like, if
Yeah.
this card is the hunger, there's like no way I lose the last game. And
Yeah.
then it just like hits my hand, like whole crowd erupts and like all this stuff. And like so what happens is that we had headphones on. The headphones didn't have white noise. So when we tested the headphones, they only asked, could you make out what is being said? And the answer for both of us is no. But
Yeah.
you could definitely hear amplitude.
Yeah.
So like I do think Vittorio like knew that I drew the hunger and then like adjusted play slightly, and I almost lost because of it, like which was actually kind of wild. I do think even if it went into the tiebreaker, that my last card was Mana Eruption, so I think playing Hunger plus Mana Eruption plus whatever like one drop I draw off the top probably would have been enough,
Yeah.
because the Hungers like really go with Mana Eruption. But it was like it was slightly frustrating that like I I don't 100% know if he would have played around Hunger there, but like it
Yeah.
was very easy for him to do it when I drew the card.
Yeah. I feel like
Um,
that's also a thing that happens in a lot of those public type events where they do feed the white noise, they do try to make it
yeah.
as soundproof as possible, but there are a lot of times
We
where
only do
it's
so I will say
yeah.
though that besides the hunger, one thing that was really funny, I guess, is that an AQZ like they mentioned this almost every day since I won. But so in the last game, so um, I like obviously like Vittoria's like Trey start like wasn't very good.
Mhm.
And like I really was like I am just gonna win this game. Like
Yeah.
I didn't even like draw my opening hand, and I'm just like things are just too good. It like won't end badly.
Yeah.
And then I think I start off with like a 2-1 and then a 2-0 or something. Maybe it was a 2-0. I don't even remember. It was like pretty good on the first day.
Yeah.
And like what ended up happening was like I just like double advance a lot. So when I play, I try to make sure we're like advancing correctly and stuff. So I have these like hand gestures of like this side advances or like this side advances or like I like kind of push around what side's advancing.
Mhm.
But when I double advance in this game, I literally just like when I 2-0 someone, I just go like, okay, so I double, like as in like they're like whatever. And then like apparently this like showed up like on camera and I'm just like doing it literally every turn. Like because I think I end up like double double single double or something like that in this
Yeah.
game. So then you're just like seeing it really quickly, like just happening. And then like, Keelan guy like goes up to me afterwards and he's just like, do you do this because you're like ascended on both sides? Because at one point I was like
Feel
ascended.
like
I'm like,
flapping?
yeah, and I was just like, I don't even know what you're talking about. And then Runefolk's like, when you like advance. And I'm like, when I advance? And he's like, no, when you double advance. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And just all of AQZ at the same time, just like, and I'm like, okay. So now we have like an emoji on the server that's like, people do like parenthesis, this hand, parenthesis. They're like, we need to play more this deck. And I'm just like, okay, like you can do this all you want. So that was probably a really funny like byproduct of the finals. Also, my winning play of like I think it was my last play or second last play was literally playing. You'll see it on the camera. Like some of my cards are signed. Like there's the Buddha that like you, Simon, and a bunch of like Hojo players have signed.
Mhm.
My soldier token for Sigismar was signed by all the AQZ members that were there. So I'm like a very like sentimental person. My Gibble is signed like I don't even remember what I put on it, but the ugly duckling that I drew with the Kokoba to beat Kenton. When I won that one, I just wrote duck on it in all caps because like, Runa and I, at least like once a whatever, we'll just say duck to each other because we just like love this card. I think my last play of the tournament or second last play was that duck because I had two ducks in my deck, but it said duck on it. I'm like, when I drew it, I'm like, yeah, buddy, like we're taking this one home. And yeah, so,
Come on, little guy, let's go.
yeah.
Oh, man.
But
That's
then
great.
one thing that was really cool during the award ceremony was the guy that designed and created the hunger went up to me. I didn't know who he was, and he's like, "Can I like sign your hunger?" And I'm like, "I want to sign my hunger because I've been doing this with all my cards." And he's like, "Sorry, I don't think you understand. Like, I made the hunger. I would love to sign that hunger." And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Okay." And then yeah, so now I have this cool like signed hunger by the person that designed it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that's all I had as far as questions. The last one I had was just a general one overall, about the trip and the event as a whole. How did you
Mhm.
feel about it outside of just winning, and just getting to enjoy the a year of Altered, essentially?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so nice being a part of like history where like obviously like Altered can just keep on existing, but I'm forever like the first world champion. Or there
Mhm.
might be like more literature or more things people learn about the game, but then people go like, oh, but like Rinku did it in a time where we didn't even know about that strategy and stuff. So it's like it's kind of cool. I'm very thankful that clearly from all these lines of luck that have existed, including the Teija mat, just like there's if you believe in multiple realities, like there's just so many where I'm not world champion. So I just have to feel nothing but grateful that I'm in this one. But like
Mhm.
I think in a lot of them, Javi's actually the champion. Like
I think if Hobby beats me, he's actually probably the favorite to win the event.
Yeah.
Um, like from that standpoint, like before the tournament, I would have said Tempete is like the favorite
Yeah.
to win the
I think that
event.
was probably who I had pretty high up there past, like, obviously wanting you to win. I had him pretty far up there.
But yeah,
I
like
thought
there were honestly just a lot of flattering moments afterwards. Like uh, on the English stream, you saw that like Loki ended up giving me a Loki mat, which is really nice. I got one of these like off camera, which no one, not too many people have. If it's not sold out in the game found, I highly suggest getting one. It
Of
even has
course.
a bell, which some people don't know about. But
Oh
yeah,
boy, I didn't know that
pretty,
either.
yeah, it's pretty cute. Um, yeah, like some people gave me like tokens. I got to sign some people's stuff. Like Genetic had me sign his Kojo, and I'm just like, oh my god, like you're the Kojo goat. Or like I have a picture with like Pava and Tepente, and I'm just like the Kojo goat and the goat. Oh my god, and they're like happy to get a photo with me, and I'm like, no, 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 I'm happy getting a photo with you. A lot of like, I know I'm like above average photogenic, but there's like a lot of just like really good photos. Like we're sometimes I joke it's like, I mean, not the exact parallel, but it reminds me of like the JFK assassination where like for a while there's like now we have this evidence from this angle and now we have this from this angle. And it's just like, oh, then there's like the Zapruder film and all this stuff. And then like because like we're just like, oh, we already downloaded like all the photos of the tournament. And then someone's like, wait, but like did you see this angle of this thing? I'm like, no, I didn't. And then like you're like slowly piecing together like the sequence of events and stuff.
Right.
So that's been fun. Like someone that took a lot of the photos, like Val actually like retweeted one of them or whatever you do on Instagram, and the person reached out and they're like, "Is this photo you? I can like give you a few more photos." I'm like, "Oh, that's so nice too."
Thank you.
Um, yeah. So then Paris itself, like I've been to a few European places. Like Paris was still cool, like had some cool things to like eat and sightsee and whatnot. But honestly, just like touring with my girlfriend for the first time was great. I will be honest, we went to a lot of card game stores. I picked up only one store had Altered, and they just had like the Sigismar theme deck on the table. So I took a picture like pointing at it, and I like sent it to AQZ, and I'm like, "Yo, I just found this. I think it's a board game. Do you think I should play it?" And then like a few of them were just like, "Yeah, like I think you'd be good at it. You should probably try it out." So
Give it a
that was
shot.
fun. But yeah, I mean, if you were like watching or like I haven't even finished watching Worlds. I'm still in the LCQ because I'm really trying to enjoy it. Like I really do like those types of events, even though I know the outcome, of course.
I feel like
Which,
most
which
people
makes it
probably
better.
couldn't make it past the LCQ if they tried to rewatch it, how long that thing ended up being, but yeah, I
Yeah,
get what you mean, yeah.
yeah. But like I am a person that like, of course, I like smile a lot and I seem like very joyous, but like I've just never felt so much before. Like I think specifically, so the thing I related to, I mean, there were like what Kenton said. There was like a few follow ups, like of course, some of the Kojo goats were like, "You're the Kojo goat." I'm like, "No, you're the Kojo goat." Um, but like another one was like I think once was Popeye or Tempete the last Altered Aces person that got eliminated. I forget.
Looks like it's, Timpet.
Yeah, so when Tempete like lost, then literally like I remember walking from the bathroom back, five different Alterdaces members, like Cladius, Popeye, Tempete, or yeah, I forget all of them, but
Yeah.
like they were just like, "Hey, there's no Alterdaces members left. Like I want you to win." And I'm like, "Wait, there's still a French person and all this other stuff," and they're like, "No, you don't get it. Like I do want you to win." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay," and like all independently, just like stopping me and telling me that, and like that felt really good. So like. I don't know if you've like watched like shonen anime before.
Mm.
Okay, so like Naruto's like a good one for it, but like the one I always think about is and like there's a very flattering moment that happened to me like earlier in my life where like I was at it was called family camp. Like it was a camp that you go to with your family. Ironically, it was the least amount of time I spent with my family. I just like did other things. And
Right.
they would have like a whole like someone would take photos throughout the whole time and people would like cheer like in this room with like over 1,000 people usually, or maybe that's an exaggeration, but people would like cheer if like it was like their family member that was like on the screen or something like that. But then like I touched so many people's lives at like family camp for this like 1 year where I like this kid like fell with their bike and like they scraped their leg and I like helped them up and like all this other stuff. So anyhow, they like show a picture of me with like someone else and literally the whole room erupts. And like I like look around and I like saw the little kid with his mom like clapping and like cheering and like I saw that like person like in the lake that like needed a help with like was
Yeah.
stuck and all this stuff and I'm just like I felt so much in that moment. So like the shonen thing, like I'm kind of like relating it to is like, have you ever watched Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so in the last episode, I don't want to spoil like who it's against, but Edward is like
It's so old you could spoil it, okay? Like, if you haven't watched it at this point, it's your own fault.
it's fine. Edward goes to like, deliver a final punch to like the bad guy, which honestly he doesn't even need to do at this point. The bad guy's already dead. But like, yeah, so he like is going to deliver the like the final punch, and just like everyone screaming his name. You see like all these like random people. It's like random side characters screaming his name and all this stuff, and everyone's saying it the way they say it and all this stuff. Um, and like I felt that when like AQZ was like holding me up, like I thought I was gonna cry. Like I just felt like so I felt so much, and I haven't felt that way since that family camp thing. So it was like I'm gonna hold that with me like for the rest of my life.
You
You win
like
some and you lose some. You mentioned the JFK assassination. You gotta like offset it with something else. So
we could cut that. Either way, past that, that's all I had for you. As usual, feel free to do any shout outs. I know you've talked about a bunch of people along the process, but you may as well
yeah,
give another shout out to Val because she deserves it, and
yeah,
the shirt too, specifically. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. She's actually. I'll show it to you. Oh, I'm getting blurry. All right, I can do this. All
There you
right,
go.
she actually, so afterwards I'll show it to you, but she has like she has the version that she wore, and she might like make more. Currently it's one of one, but she's actually working on a world's version too.
Mm,
I'll show you the current design of that
yeah,
after this. But we think there might be some demand, so it'll be good.
yeah,
Yeah, everyone's Rinku stocks have been going up.
yeah,
But yeah, obviously huge shout out to Val. Like literally when I won, I mean, I think you saw it on the video. Like I
yeah.
literally just ran up to her.
Right
Like
straight
there's
up. Yeah.
nothing more I wanted to do in that moment. Um, so yeah, shout out to Val as always for being wonderful and supportive, despite me, not really being. I definitely sacrificed a little bit in terms of our like dinner conversations and like games and stuff to like focus on Altered. So obviously very thankful. Thankful to my family, to all like just always supporting my gaming stuff, even though not all of them fully like know or have been there and stuff. They still like know that it means everything to me,
Mhm.
and even just introducing me to games. Thanks to Team AQZ for adopting me. Definitely very changing. There's just like so many like even my decks were like cool amalgamations of just like all these connections I made over time. Like I played Balthazar's Tooth Fairy, not mine. Like that was so cool and stuff like that. So definitely shout out there. Shout out to just anyone I've ever talked to about strategy or people whose board game arenas I've definitely rated for a lot of times. All the Kojo goats out there helping me, especially Pava for like giving me the confidence to play Kojo. Um, and I guess like, yeah, thanks to like just people that really thought I could do it. I mean, it really started with Simon, I guess.
Yeah.
But even like throughout the tournament, like Val never like wavered, but like I very much thought that I was not gonna do well in the tournament. Like I even have like a message that I sent to Simon, I think like 3 or 4 days before, just like explaining how I was like kind of frustrated about the uniques and how like I just feel like I'm at huge disadvantage and like that my decisions don't matter or something like that. Like it was definitely like, you kind of like see the result and like
Yeah.
afterwards, but like it was very difficult leading up to it. But ultimately I think yeah, shout out to Set Four and Ascend. I think also, I obviously don't know what like the future has for like Altered, but I think Set Four has had my favorite uniques. I
Okay.
think I've liked that they're less like if you like a percentage breakdown of uniques and like in worlds of like Set One versus not Set One, it was just mostly Set One.
Yeah.
But I really like the Set Four unique. Some of them can be like conditionally better than the Set One, but they're all like trade offs. It's like my favorite restriction has been the 6 or more mana orbs. It's like, do you want to hold this in your hand until that day? Like, if you don't, like, you're not gonna get the bonus. And I'm like,
Right.
that is so well designed. So,
Set 4 has
and I know,
been quite great in my opinion, and definitely have to agree with you there. I know you didn't get to ascend as much as you probably wanted to with all the bands and whatnot, but, it, it was fun to watch when it did get to happen. Shout out to, Rare Ugly Duckling.
yeah, oh, so good. Yeah. I'm trying to think of other. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm really excited for this game, and I do hope that my win is able to do what that
Yeah.
one conversation I've had like discussed. Like, we have the game found. Like, this is like a new, kind of like a new era of the game, and it feels very flattering. So like you brought up like Nadir in that like Waru Meta tournament and
Yeah.
how he like took a break. Like as we said in the first discussion with me, I really didn't play my first event until besides the
Okay.
pre-release until April.
Yeah.
And like now I'm the world champion. Like I still haven't experienced like the full history of the game. And it's like some people are gonna be starting with like
this Rinku win like inspired me to like when Val finishes school, she's like, "Oh, I want to learn some Altered now." Like
Yeah.
she already knows a little like of the basics. She went 2-1 in our cube, beating Simon and Cole, so that was great. Yeah, I really didn't even help her, so she's like, "Man, like these were actually the first 3 games I played that weren't against you," and I'm like, "Well, sorry." But yeah,
Good
so
practice at least, right?
yeah, so I'm just like really excited to see what we have, and hopefully nothing has been announced. I haven't been told anything, but hopefully they allow the world champion to defend their title. But if not, I'm ready to get back in there.
Yeah. No, I think that would be cool just to have that auto thing set up, but we'll see what they do. Um,
Yeah,
and then
I trust whatever decision they come up with.
exactly. If not, you'll just have to make it there normally,
Yeah,
right? You can do
yeah,
it.
I'll have to break someone else's dreams in the finals, but I really don't want to. So just give me the invite. So.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, and other than that, shout out to all the other altered teams out there. I want to make
Yeah,
sure, obviously, ExAlts Aran for finding the Teija playmat.
yeah,
Big winner there. Super nice guy. Was able to reach out to me while the event was happening. Same thing for Clay, Altered Aces, for
mhm,
supporting you after everyone from Altered Aces was out, kind of thing. And he also reached out to me as well. So just nice guys all around from the entire
yeah.
community. So
I love our community.
yeah,
It's all good people. Like I was very happy to meet so many people in person.
yeah.
And
Excited.
you'll get to do it next year.
Exactly. I'm excited to do it. And who knows? I may just show up to Europe early at some point for a big France event just to do it. Who knows? We'll have to
Yeah,
figure out if that happens or not.
you're overdue.
Yeah, exactly. All right. That's all I had for you. We'll go and wrap things up. We've already been talking for 2 hours now anyway, and I'll give you back to Val. And we'll just stop recording. Catch you later, everyone. And that's a wrap. I want to thank Rinku, our world champion, for joining me once again, and you especially for watching also once again. And that's it. I'll see you in play on the next day.